Hey everyone, it's Justin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I've got some dancing inspiration for y'all using some brand new products from scrapbook.com. I am going to be featuring the new Nutcracker and Ballerina shape die set in order to use the focal image of this project. I'm also going to pull in the rub-on transfers and the metallic polka dots and also the Hey There Friend word dies. I'm going to pull in some pattern paper from the ombre and candy paper pack and some rainbow glitter paper as well. So let's get into some crafting. I want to talk for a second about how much of a must need this new ombre pattern paper collection is going to be from scrapbook.com. It has so many fun patterns that you're going to really be able to amp up your crafting with and make for easy backgrounds. I chose a pastel rainbow ombre from the pattern paper collection, and I decided to use it with the silver metallic polka dot rub-on transfers. I'm going to open up the rub-on transfer, separating it from the backing paper, and then I am going to use my scissors just to trim off the excess. Now, I did learn a hack that you can use your die cutting machine for the rub-on transfers, and I have been doing that, except for whatever reason for this one, I had a little bit of the actual paper itself getting pulled up onto the transfer sheet. So while I still do recommend using that shortcut of using your die cutting machine, be mindful you may get a little bit of your paper tearing, but we're going to go ahead and fix that later. I'm going to use the Beyond Basics die cuts from Picket Fence Studios, and I'm going to be using the 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 die cut rectangle just to get a nice clean cut from my rainbow ombre background. I'm going to use some 1-inch mint tape to secure it, and then I will process it through my die cutting machine in order to get it all cut to size. I wanted to show you how the metallic polka dots do look, how they capture that light, and they're really going to add that extra sparkle. Using the rainbow glitter pad, I'm using the light blue pattern paper. Some may call it aqua, I call it light blue, whatever works for you. And because it's already cut down to A2 size, I am going to directly adhere my background of the rainbow ombre to it. So I'm going to use my Misty Precision Glue Press to go ahead and adhere with the liquid adhesive onto that glitter paper, ensuring that you are applying pressure so that that liquid adhesive adheres nicely to that glitter paper background. With the background all set, let's start creating our little ballerina. I'm pulling in the candy smooth cardstock and using the pink, the magenta, the yellow, and the orange cardstock to die cut the different elements of our dancer. From the pink, I'm going to be die cutting the corset and the ballet slippers, and I will go ahead and adhere them to the paper with some 1-inch mint tape. With the magenta, I am going to be doing the tutu of the ballerina dancer and then also the little flower that is in her hair. Next, I'm going to, from the orange, do her hair, adhering that with some mint tape. And then finally, from the yellow, I'm going to take the stars that are included in the shape dies, and I'm going to use these as background elements for our project. I pull in the mixed media paper pad in the white color, and off camera I do also prepare the outline of the ballerina dancer, and I cut a smaller portion that I am going to drag some Tattered Rose Distress Oxide ink on top of, because I think that this makes for a very nice flesh tone ink. I wanted to make sure to capture a nice pink color for the skin of our ballerina dancer, and I thought that making my own paper color would be the best way to go. So I'm going to get this all nice and dragged with my Distress Oxide ink to get that paper to the color I need it to be. I do also set my ink with a heated tool. This allows the ink to dry really nicely because otherwise it just becomes messy and you don't want to have the ink going all over the place. Once my ink is set and dried, I'm then able to take the actual ballerina die cut image of her body and place it onto the paper, and I will secure it with some 1-inch mint tape so that all of my panels are ready to be die cut. Now for the sentiment, I use the Hey There Friend word dies, and I am going to die cut the outline of You're Fabulous from that light blue glitter paper from the Rainbow Glitter Paper Collection. And then also using some white mixed media paper, I am going to die cut out Your and then also the word fabulous. So it's going to pop really nicely. I've got all of my die cuts organized in a stack and sort tray, so they're ready to start putting all of my images together. I wanted to begin by adhering the different elements to our ballerina dancer. So once I have that tutu into place, I can then begin putting the corset on top. I really love how the different colors in the Candy Smooth cardstock collection coordinate really nicely and still punch a pack of vibrance with the color. So I'm going to now put the hair into place for the ballerina dancer as well. She's got a little bun, and I didn't talk about it earlier, but there is a little headband that I had die cut as well. So because the part is so little, I am going to put adhesive onto the hair first, and then I am going to just very carefully put my little headband into place. Next, I'm going to place the little flower, and there's actually a little notch with the die cut so that you know where to put the flower on her head so that it's nicely put into precision place. Now that the top portion of our ballerina is all taken care of, we can begin the process of putting her little ballet slippers on. So I'm putting the liquid adhesive directly onto her feet, and then I'm going to start by taking the little ballet slippers and putting them onto the correct feet. Now, one of the ballet slippers is slightly larger than the other one, and this should help you identify which foot belongs to which slipper. So just keep that in mind. I'm using just a fine tip applicator tool so that I can go ahead and get these items nicely onto my ballerina. Using some liquid adhesive on the back of my die cut image, I am going to adhere it to my white outline piece. Now, if you didn't want to use the outline piece, by all means, it's optional. You don't have to actually use it, but I really like how the use of it allows that colored image to pop so nicely with that white outline background. So now that we've got our ballerina all situated, let's work on getting our sentiment taken care of as well. So I'm going to put some liquid adhesive on the back of the die cut word fabulous so we can go ahead and get that situated for the project. I think the sentiment "You're Fabulous" is just absolutely perfect for featuring a ballerina on a card. It's like the epitome of fabulous, so I just was really happy to find a sentiment to work so well. I'm also using an acrylic block to just add a little bit of pressure while I'm adhering everything with my sentiments together. When you're working with that glitter paper, it doesn't take right away when you put some liquid adhesive onto it. It takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of pressure. So adding that acrylic block really is like having a little assistant in my craft room where I'm able to work on another element of my sentiment, but still have some pressure put into place, and it's helping keep all of my die cuts on top of that glitter paper. Now, because the glitter paper doesn't take to liquid adhesive right away, one of the benefits of that is, as you can see right now, I'm fidgeting around with these letters to try and get them appropriately into place. The liquid adhesive doesn't make it so that your paper is locked into place right away. You are given that extended grace period where you're able to really make sure each of those die cuts is put into place as precisely as you can get them. And then once you add the pressure and let it sit for a little bit, that's when it's going to begin the process of locking it. So you don't have to feel stressed for time. As frustrating as that may be when using a glitter paper of sorts, because it almost is like plasticky on the top of it, that's a real great benefit of utilizing a material like that, because it allows you to fix any sort of mistakes that you feel like you may have made along the way. So don't forget that because we're using the word "your," there is that little apostrophe, so we do have to get that nicely into place. And then once that is situated, we now can begin the process of putting everything together for our card. Now remember, I did have those little torn areas, and I figured that I could fix it by using some of those yellow die cut stars. So I've covered one up. I'm going to cover up this second one, and then I'm going to remember that my "You're Fabulous" sentiment fully covered up that second embellishment. So I'm actually going to pull that star up so I can use it later on in my project, because why adhere something and then fully cover it up when I can utilize that star in a future spot? So once I begin mapping everything out, just kind of confirming where I want it to go, I'm going to see myself make that sort of realization where it's like, oh, Justin, save that star. Don't let it get covered by that "You're Fabulous" sentiment. And it's just going to add some extra pop of color to our project. Now, another way to add a little bit of attention to the image and the sentiment is to apply some foam tape to the back to really allow it to pop off of the card. So I'm using some 3mm foam tape strips by scrapbook.com. I love how thin that these strips are cut down. It makes it so easy to put onto your project and to get in those more narrow spaces. So I'm putting that foam tape on the back of my sentiment die cut and of my ballerina as well, and then I will pull off the backing of the foam tape once I have everything so nicely into place. Now, because these strips are so narrow, they fit really nicely into the different limbs of our ballerina, and if I need a little bit more support, I can always put two strip pieces side by side to get some extra width. So I'm really able to use these foam strips to very nicely get those elements to pop and bring attention to them on our project. So I'm taking the backing off of the Your Fabulous sentiment first, getting that into place since I had mapped out where I wanted everything kind of to fall first, and after I get my sentiment nicely in place, I'll be able to remove the backing from my ballerina and then press her onto the card as well. She does slightly overlap with the sentiment, and that's why I thought it was important to put the ballerina on second so that I allowed the full focus to be on her, and we're going to be able to now put everything with this card onto an A2 sized card base. This is an 8.5 by 5.25 piece of paper that I had scored on the middle on the long side, so when you open it up, you get that full measurement, but it does give you that A2 sized card base. So I'm going to also adhere a couple more of those stars onto our project just to cover up any of those little blemishes that we may have had when I had put the piece of paper through my die cutting machine with the rub-on transfers, but then also I have a couple extra star images as well that I'm going to use to add extra embellishment to our card. Once I get all of my little stars into place, I do have 5 of them in total, I decide I need more embellishment to make this ballerina really pop. So appropriately, I'm going to use some pops of color. First, I'm going to pull in the sky blue pops of color and just put a couple little dots down. And then this is going to play really nicely with the light blue glitter paper that we've used. And then I'm going to pull in the flamingo pops of color because I thought that this would coordinate really nicely with the color of her corset that we had used. We have a lot of pink tones going on, and I thought they would also contrast nicely with the blue and the yellow in the stars. So of course, a little hack is to tap the back of your paper to make sure to flatten out those pops of color, and then once you have them down to as much as you'd like, our card is fully finished. So I hope you think that this card is just as fabulous as that sentiment says. Don't forget to use the links below so that you can go ahead and shop for anything I may have inspired you to create with. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so very much for stopping by today, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. Goodbye.